first canto, 13th chapter, 49th verse, some small repetition we can do. So I am Adya Maharajaha, Bhagavan Bhuta Bhavanaha, Kala Rupo Vatiranosyam, Abhavaya Suradvisham. So Lord Krishna, in guise of all devouring time, has now descended on earth to eliminate the envious from the world. So what is the purpose of Lord descending? I think this we have not done. Okay. So Lord has appeared. So I am. Now, before that, another verse we take again. O King, you should look to the Lord only, who is one without a second, and who manifests himself in different energies and is both within and without. Now, what is the purpose of Lord appearing? So that he can remove all the envious people from this world. So there are two types of human beings. That is how Prabhupada starts. There are some who are very obedient and there are some who are very envious. The only purpose of Lord coming to this world is to protect the devotees and remove the impious people. So we can take this verse again. Adi Satviki Mataji. So before that, I am really sorry to join late. It really slipped out of my mind. Somebody came and was just talking. I then realized, oh, the devotees must be waiting. Read Mataji. Adi Satviki Mataji, you read the verse and read the...
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. 50. It's 50, huh?
49. Read.
Sohaya Madhya Maharaj Bhagavan Bhuta Bhavanaha Kalo Rupaha Bhatirna Ha Syama Bhavaya Suradvisham. The translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, in the guise of all devouring time, Kala Rupa, has now descended on earth to eliminate the envious from the world. There are two classes of human beings, namely the envious and the obedient. Since the Supreme Lord is one and the Father of all living beings, the envious living beings are also his sons, but they are known as the Asuras. But the living beings who are obedient to the Supreme Father are called Devatas or demigods, because they are not contaminated by the material conception of life. Not only are the Asuras envious of the Lord in even denying the existence of the Lord, but they are also envious of all other living beings. The predominance of Asuras in the world is occasionally rectified by the Lord when he eliminates them from the world and establishes a rule of Devatas like the Pandavas. His designation as Kala in disguise is significant. He is not at all dangerous, but he is the transcendental form of eternity, knowledge and bliss. For the devotees, his factual form is disclosed, and for the non-devotees, he appears like Kala Rupa, which is causal form. This causal form of the Lord is not at all pleasing to the Asuras, and therefore they think of the Lord as formless in order to feel secure that they will not be vanquished by the Lord. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji.
So, very clearly, Lord has told that devotees will never be vanquished. Devotees are always protected by the Lord. And to vanquish his envious people, Lord has many energies, multifarious energies. But when it comes to protection of his devotees, Lord takes the personal responsibility. That is Lord's anugraha on the devotees. For that, Lord has not to wait for some energy to go and help. Like when Gajendra is in difficulty, the Lord did not wait for some Devi Devatas to go. Lord came on his boat. When it comes to protection for the devotees, Lord takes it as a personal responsibility. There are many envious people, but Lord doesn't take the responsibility of killing all the envious people. The enviousness shown towards a devotee, again, understand it very nicely. When a person is envious of the devotee, then Krishna takes it as a personal responsibility. Not that somebody is envious. In the world, this enviousness is the byproduct. And now Krishna is not coming every time for Sakti. Krishna came to protect the devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, because his father is very envious of him. When the matter is concerned with the devotee, there Krishna takes a personal responsibility. Okay. Next verse. निष्पादितं देवकृत्यम् अवशेषं प्रतीक्षते तावद् यूयम् अवेक्षध्वं भवेद्यावत् इहेश्वरः निष्पादितं perform devakrityam, what was to be done on behalf of the demigods, avashesham, the rest, pratikshate, the being awaited, tavat, up to the time, yuyam, all of you, Pandavas, avekshadvam, observe and wait, bhavet me, yavat, as long as, iha, in this world, Ishvaraha, the Supreme Lord. The Lord has already performed his duties to help the demigods and is awaiting the rest. You Pandavas may wait as long as the Lord is here on earth. So, already he has performed his duties to help the demigods. So, in the matter of the Pandavas, Lord is always there with them. You Pandavas may wait as long as the Lord is here on earth. So, Lord is there to support you. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to be demoralized also. Lord is there and you wait till he is there. Simple. That means Lord is always with the devotees. That is what Avashya Rakshibe Krishna is very much important. And one of the person was having cancer, is having cancer. And then one brahmachari went and told, it's Kamalochan Prabhuji's brother, uncle, it is good that you know your time now, you should wait now, you know what is going to happen, prepare for the examination. Now, already he is in fear. Already he knows that he's going to die. And on top of this, he was, he is also suffering from heart problem. I am ready for any time interview. I was seeing his face was so horrible. I just told, and he left and I told, Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. This has a deeper meaning. It's not necessary that you have to be cured. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna, at the time of quitting the body, your consciousness will be in the Lord, you will not be in the fear. That can be also. So it has, you speak in such a way which will be always soothing. You cannot speak something which is horrible. Hearing that horrible, that person again faints only. Okay. Narayana, read. Okay, Narayana is not able to read. Vimla, you read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Nishpaditam deva krityam avashesham pratikshate tavad yuyam avekshadham bhaved vyavadiheshvarah. Translation: The Lord has already performed his duties to help the demigods and he is awaiting the rest. You Pandavas may wait as long as the Lord is here on earth. Purport: The Lord descends from his abode, Krishna Loka, the topmost planet in the spiritual sky, in order to help the demigod administrators of this material world when they are greatly vexed by the asuras who are envious not only of the Lord but also of his devotees. As referred to above, the conditioned living beings contact material association by their own choice, dictated by a strong desire to lord it over the resources of the material world and become imitation lords of all they survey. Everyone is trying to become an imitation God. There is keen competition among such imitation gods, and such competitors are generally known as asuras. When there are too many asuras in the world, then it becomes a hell for those who are devotees of the world. Due to the growth of the asuras, the mass of people who are generally devoted to the Lord by nature and the pure devotees of the Lord, including the demigods in higher planets, pray to the Lord for relief, and the Lord either descends personally from his abode or deputes some of his devotees to remodel the fallen condition of human society or even animal society. Such disruptions take place not only in human society but also among animals, birds, or other living beings, including the demigods in the higher planets. Lord Shri Krishna descended personally to vanquish asuras like Kansa, Jarasandha, and Shishupal, and during the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir, almost all these asuras were killed by the Lord. Now he was awaiting the annihilation of his own dynasty called the Yaduvansha, who appeared by his will in this world. He wanted to take them away before his own departure to his eternal abode. Narad, like Vidura, did not disclose the imminent annihilation of the Yadu dynasty, but indirectly gave a hint to the king and his brothers to wait till the incident happened and the Lord departed. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Next verse. 1 second. धार्तरा धृतराष्ट्रः सह भ्रात्रा गान्धर्या च स्वभार्यया दक्षिणेन हिमवत ऋषीणाम् आश्रमं गतः. Dhritarashtra sah along with Bhratra, his brother Vidura, Gandharya, Gandhari also, Cha and Swabharyaya, his own wife, Dakshine by the southern direction, Himavataha of the Himalaya mountains, Rishinam of the rishis, then Ashramam in shelter, Gataha is called. So your uncle Dhritarashtra, his brother Vidura, his wife Gandhari, they have all gone to the southern direction of the Himalaya mountains where there are shelters of the great sages. So he started describing the movements of his uncle. So this is a nice way to talk. Directly has not been told, but slowly. Directly is told, no, they are all now, they have left their bodies. It's not the way to speak actually. When you speak, it should be very smooth in the beginning and then suddenly give the climax. Slowly. There is a way to speak. So here, the Dhritarashtra, that they have gone to the south direction where the rishis are there. So you don't have to worry, rishis are there with them. Okay. Krishna Priyavi.
हरे कृष्ण दंड प्रणम माताजी. धृतराष्ट्रः सह भ्रात्रा गान्धर्या च स्वभार्यया दक्षिणेन हिमवता ऋषीणामाश्रमं गतः. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O king, your uncle Dhritarashtra, his brother Vidura, and his wife Gandhari have gone to the southern side of the Himalaya mountains, where there are shelter of the great sages. Purport. To pacify the mourning Maharaja Yudhishthira, Narada first of all spoke from the philosophical point of view, and then he began to describe the future movement of his uncle, which he could see by his foreseeing power, and thus began to describe the followers. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Next. श्रोतोभि सप्तभिर्वाये श्रोतोभि सप्तभिर्या वै स्वध्वनि सप्तधा व्यधात सप्तानां प्रीतये नाना सप्तश्रोतः प्रचक्षते. श्रोतोभि by the current, श्रोतोभि Saptabhi, by 7 divisions. Ya, the river. Why, certainly. Swardhuni, the sacred Ganga. Saptadha, 7 branches. Vedata, created. Saptanam, 7. Pritaye, for the satisfaction. Nana, various. Saptashruta, 7 sources. Prachakshate, known by name. The place is called Saptasrota. It is divided by 7 because there are waters of the sacred Ganga were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great rishis. So they have gone to a place known as Saptasrota. There are 7 branches of Ganga is there, and for the satisfaction of 7 Sapta rishis. Then Snatva no savanam tasmin hutva chagnin yatha vidhi abhaksha upashantatma sa aste vigatai sanah. Snatva, by taking bath. Anusavanam, regularly 3 times. 3 times a person should take bath, morning, noon, evening. Tasmin, in that Ganga, which is divided into 7. Hutva, by performing Agnihotra sacrifice, also. Agni, in the fire, Yathavidhi, according to the tenets of the scriptures. Abhakshaha, fasting by drinking only water. Many of today's Nirjala, that also you cannot do, no? But I have taken everything, don't worry. Upashanta, completely controlled. Atma, the gross senses and the subtle mind. Sahadatrashtra, as they would be situated. Vigata, devoid of Eshanaha, thoughts in relation with the family welfare. So on the banks of Saptashrota, Dhritarashtra is now engaged in the Ashtanga Yoga 3 times by taking bath, and in the morning, noon, afternoon, morning, noon, and evening by performing Agnihotra sacrifice with fire, drinking only water. In this way, he is keeping his mind and senses in control and freeing himself from the thoughts of family affection. So he is doing a lot of austerity in this place, which is known as Saptashrota. Saptashrota. So this is all the information now. See how nicely the information is given. So he has gone to the place where sages are there. In that place, he's doing a lot of austerities. 3 times taking bath, drinking just water, performing Agnihotra Yajna. Okay. So, Gadadhar Prabhu, you please read. Read one. You read one verse. Mataji will read one verse, and you read the full translation. First verse that Mataji read.
Hello, Mataji.
Where is your wife?
Can I go?
Where is your wife? I
Hare
can't tell you, Mataji. Okay, you only read. If she is not available, you only read.
Text number 51. Can I go ahead, Mataji?
Read both the verses and read the translation. In first, there is only translation, no purport. Read both. Read fast.
Text number 52.
Proto bhi, zapta bhi, read that.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am audible. I should read
52, 53. Read now 52 and 53.
Hare Krishna. Srotabhihi saptabhiyavai swarduni sapnada vyada saptana pritaye nana saptasrotah prachaksate. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The place is called Saptasrota, divided by 7, because the waters of the sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great rishis. Can I read 53, Mataji?
Read. I have told you to read.
Snatavanasvanam tasmin utva kaginan yatavidi abhaksha upasantatma sa aste vigatai sana. Translation. On the banks of the Saptasrota, Dhritarashtra is now engaged in the beginning Ashtanga Yoga by bathing 3 times daily in the morning, noon, and evening by performing the Agnihotra sacrifice with fire and by drinking only water. This helps one control the mind and sense and frees one completely from thoughts of familial affection. Srila Prabhupada ki. The yoga system is a mechanical way to control the senses and the mind and divert them from matter to spirit. The preliminary process are the sitting posture, meditation, spiritual thoughts, manipulation of air passing within the body, and gradual situation in trance. Facing the absolute person, Paramatma, such mechanical ways of rising to the spiritual platform prescribe some regulative principles of taking bath daily 3 times, fasting as far as possible, sitting and concentrating the mind in spiritual matters, and thus gradually becoming free from Visaya, or material objectives. Material existence means to be absorbed in the material objective, which is simply illusory. House, country, family, society, children, property, and business are some of the material coverings of the spirit, Atma, and the yoga system helps one to become free from all these illusory thoughts and gradually turn towards the absolute person, Paramatma. By material association and education, we learn simply to concentrate on flimsy things, but yoga is the process of forgetting them altogether. Modern so-called yogis and yoga system manifest some magical fears, and ignorant persons are attracted by such false things, or they accept the yoga system as a cheap healing process for disease of the gross body. But actually, the yoga system is a process of learning to forget what we have acquired throughout the struggle for existence. Dhritarashtra was all along engaged in improving family affairs by raising the standard of living of his sons or by usurping the property of the Pandavas for the sake of his own sons. These are common affairs for a man grossly materialistic and without knowledge of the spiritual force. He does not see how this can drag one from heaven to earth. By the grace of his young brother Vidura, Dhritarashtra was enlightened and could see his grossly illusory engagements, and by such enlightenment he was able to leave home till realization. Sri Nadeva was just foretelling the ways of his spiritual progress in a place which was sanctified by the flow of celestial Ganges. Drinking water only without solid food is also considered fasting. This is necessary for advancement in spiritual knowledge. A foolish man wants to be a yogi without cheap yogi without observing the regulative principles. A man who has no control over the tongue at first can hardly become a yogi. Yogi and bogi are two opposite terms. The bogi are the merry man who eats and drinks, cannot be a yogi, for a yogi is never allowed to eat and drink unrestrictedly. We may note, with profit how Dhritarashtra began his yoga system by drinking water only and sitting calmly in a place with spiritual atmosphere, deeply absorbed in thoughts of the Lord Hari, the personality of Hare. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Next verse. So now they are doing a lot of austerities. They are sitting on the banks of Saptasrota. Then Jita Sano Jita Swasaha Pratyartha Sad Shad Indriya Hari Bhavanaya Dvasta Rajaha Sattva Tamo Malah. Jita Asanaha, one who has controlled the sitting posture. Jita Shwashaha, he has controlled, one who has controlled the breathing process. Pratyartha, turning back. Shat, 6, Indriyaha, senses. Hari, the absolute truth. Bhavaneha, absorbed in. Dvastaha, conquered. Rajaha, passion. Sattvaha, goodness. Tamaha, ignorance. Malaha, contamination. So he has controlled the sitting, by sitting posture, he has controlled his senses. His breathing processes can turn the senses towards the absolute truth and thus become immune to the contamination of Rajas, Tasata and Tama. So here in this way, they have controlled their senses and they have completely utilized their consciousness in thinking about Lord. That is how they have become immune or transcendental. You can say Sagunan, Samati, Taitan, Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, Sagunan. All these three things can be transcended only when a person remembers Krishna. What is the use of doing austerity if he is not remembering Krishna? So here, not only they did austerity, they have turned their bhavana towards Krishna. That means their consciousness towards Krishna. Then only they can transcend the three modes of material nature. Neeraj Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hari Bol, Dandavat Pranam. Jitasano jitshwasa pratyaharsha harjad dash indriya hari bhavanya dvasta rajasattva tamo mala. Translation by His Divine Grace Ishi Srila Bhakti Shrant Ji Ki Jai. One who has controlled the sitting postures, the yogic asanas, and the breathing process can turn the senses towards the absolute personality of Godhead and thus become immune to the contaminations of the modes of material nature, namely mundane goodness, passion, and ignorance. Purport: Hare Krishna. The preliminary activities of the way of yoga are asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dhyana, dharana, etc. Maharaj Dhrashtraj was to attain success in those preliminary actions because he was seated in the sanctified place and was concentrating upon one objective, namely the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Thus, all his senses were being engaged in the service of the Lord. This process directly helps the devotee to get freedom from the contaminations of the three modes of material nature. Three material modes of nature. Even the highest mode, the material mode of goodness, is also a cause of material bondage. And what to speak of the other qualities, namely passion and ignorance? Passion and ignorance increase the material propensities of hankering for material enjoyment. And a strong sense of lust provokes the accumulation of wealth and power. One who has conquered these two base mentalities and has raised himself to the platform of goodness, which is full of knowledge and morality, cannot also control the senses, namely the eyes, the tongue, the nose, the ear, and the touch. But one who has surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of Lord Hari, as mentioned above, can transcend all the influences of the modes of material nature and be fixed in the service of the Lord. The Bhakti Yoga process, therefore, directly applies to the senses of to the loving service of the Lord. This prohibits the performer from engaging in material activities. This process of turning the senses from material attachment to the loving transcendental service of the Lord is called pratyahara, and the very process is called pranayama, ultimately ending in samadhi or absorption in pleasing the Supreme Lord Hari by all means. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to read. Hare Krishna.
Samyak adhyate asmin atmatattva ithatmyam, body samadhi, completely absorbed in one's relationship with Krishna. So they have taken samadhi, that means they are completely absorbed. Last verse. Vijnanatmani samyojya kshetrajne pravilapyatam brahmanyatmana atmanam adhare gatambaram ivambare. Vijnana, purified identity, atmani, in intelligence, samyojya, perfectly fixing, kshetrajne, in the matter of living being, pravilapya, merging, tam him, brahmani, in the supreme, atmanam, pure living being, adhare, in the reservoir, ghata, ambaram, sky with the block, evil eye, ambare, in the supreme sky. So the Rashtra will have to amalgamate his pure identity with intelligence and then merge into the supreme being with the knowledge of his qualitative oneness as a living entity with the Lord. Being freed from the block in the sky, he will have to rise to the spiritual sky. So oneness here refers to understanding his divinity. Because of all this austerity, he will understand his divinity in quality. That is very nicely spreads. It's not becoming merging in Lord. No, understanding his divinity. And in this way, by performing austerity, by being in samadhi, understanding one's relationship with Lord, he will enter the spiritual sky as the information is given. So austerity will make him understand that he is also divine. In quality, one is equal with Lord, but in quantity, we are always servant. Okay. Who will read? Vandana will read. Kusum is there, na? Kusum will read. Let Kusum read.
Hare Krishna Masaji, understand.
Reading with Neeraj Prabhu. Let Kusum read. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Masaji. Vijnanatmani samyogya kshetrajne pravilapyatam brahmani atmanam adhare gata param ivambare. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dhritarashtra will have to amalgamate his pure identity with intelligence and then merge into the Supreme Being with knowledge of his qualitative oneness as a living entity with the Supreme Brahman. Being freed from the blocked sky, he will have to rise to the spiritual sky. Purport: the living being, by his desiring to lord it over the material world and declining to cooperate with the Supreme Lord, contacts the sum total of the material world, namely the Mahatattva, and from the Mahatattva, his false identity with the material world, intelligence, mind, and senses is developed. This covers his pure spiritual identity. By the yogic process, when his pure identity is realized in self-realization, one has to revert to the original position by amalgamating the 5 gross elements and the subtle elements, mind and intelligence, into the Mahatattva again. Thus, getting freed from the clutches of the Mahatattva, he has to merge in the existence of the Super Soul. In other words, he has to realize that qualitatively he is non-different from the Super Soul, and thus he transcends the material sky by his pure identical intelligence and thus becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the highest perfectional development of spiritual identity, which was attained by Dhritarashtra by the grace of Vidura and the Lord. The Lord's mercy was bestowed upon him by his personal contact with Vidura, and when he was actually practicing the instructions of Vidura, the Lord helped him to attain the highest perfectional stage. A pure devotee of the Lord does not live on any planet of the material sky, nor does he feel any contact with material elements. His so-called material body does not exist, being surcharged with the spiritual current of the Lord's identical interest, and thus he is permanently freed from all contaminations of the sum total of the Mahatattva. He is always in the spiritual sky, which he attains by being transcendental to the sevenfold material coverings by the effect of his devotional service. The conditioned souls are within the coverings, whereas the liberated soul is far beyond the cover. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you. Thank you.
Lord, so the conditional souls are far behind the covering, and the spiritual souls, that means who are dedicated to Lord, there they are beyond the 3 coverings. That is Rajoguna, Satoguna, and Tamoguna. They have transcended the 3 coverings. Those who are conditioned, they are within these 3 coverings. Okay, let's stop here. Any questions? No questions.
Mataji, a small question on the last paragraph.
Yeah.
This is this paragraph, the last paragraph. It says the pure devotee of the Lord does not live on any planet of the material sky, nor does he feel any contact with material elements. His so-called material body does not exist. That means while in this material body is not existing for him. Is that what it means?
Yeah. Material body, though it is there, he is beyond that.
Yeah. So though he is in the material body, but he is beyond that. Right. Correct. So while being in the material world, he is already liberated, right?
या यस्य हरेर्दासे कर्मणा मनसा गिरा निखिलाशपि अवस्थासु जीवन मुक्तस उच्यते. Nectar of Devotion speaks about this.
Correct. So I'm just connecting the two. So he is in the material body, but he is already liberated. Hare Krishna.
So that is why his body is not material.
Oh,
Considering spiritual master's body to be material is one of the biggest aparadhas. It seems to be, but it is not.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Like when we went to Guru Maharaj's last, this was going on.
Yeah.
His lotus feet, one day when happens, and what happens? Generally, it shrinks and all, it's still shining. His face was like so bright. When he's taken for samadhi, I got an opportunity to touch his body.
Hari Bol.
I went and touched him. So soft. So soft. As if like, how it becomes very hard. No? I went and touched. So soft. So that means that the body is not material. We think material world. They are not in clutches of the material nature. They are not in clutches. That is why they always live in samadhi. By leaving also they are in samadhi. While they leave the world also they are in samadhi. That's why our acharyas stay in three places. In samadhi, in their birthplace, and in their books and the teachings.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, can I ask?
Yeah.
Mataji, just now you explained how you were able to touch Maharaj's body, and it was an ecstatic experience. Mataji, I remember when Maharaj had come to Thane, and a long time back, few years back, that time I bowed down and I tried to touch his feet, and I was told no, not to touch his feet. So, Mataji, how do we? I'm sorry, I'm confused on this. Whereas you could touch it, I was asked not to touch.
Yeah. Not to touch.
So, Mataji, why
And
this?
at the same time, when he came home, he allowed me to pour water in his feet. It is up to him. Generally, a standing instruction is because certain rules and regulations are not followed, and then his direct disciples, they're allowed to do that. Like when he gives his Mahaprasad, he strictly tells, give it only to my disciples. Even if you stand there, he will not allow you to take it. Because some may have bhava, some may not have bhava. How to identify some has bhava or not? So general instruction is not to touch the feet of the spiritual master. Because you cannot take his karmas. His divinity cannot be taken. When we touch, we give our karmas. When he allows, we don't touch. I do not touch. Only when in that I got the opportunity to touch not his feet, I touch his hand. And I paid obeisances to the body. When he came to home, he allowed me to pour water in his feet. And some Prabhujis they washed. I was allowed to do that. No, this is his mercy. But that is not a general rule. That is not a general rule. Sometimes it goes out of, sometimes allows. Like it's a general rule not to take any food if the one who has spoken is not an initiated devotee. But sometimes you have to go out of way also, na? Generally, when you are into preaching in the preaching moment, the worship of the Lord, it is generally told, don't take food from those who don't follow the principles. Sometimes you go out of way also.
Okay, Mataji.
Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Okay. Panchakrita Viveshwar Pasan
Hare Krishna, Vanchakalturubhesha, Vasinjubheva, Chakradana, Pavne, Vaishnava, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.